What's going on, people? Welcome to the opposition preview. It is that time again as we're going to be facing West Ham. I'm joined by the one and only, the most deluded West Ham fan out there. I've had to bring him on again, and that is Lawless for West Ham Fan TV and also for his own channel. So what we're going to do here, people, is click on the link in the description down below. Make sure to go over there and subscribe to Lawless' channel. I know we have great banter together. I know I call him deluded. I know he gets at me as well, but it's all love. So make sure to show love to his new channel as well. Lawless, how you been? How you been, my good friend? How you been?
I've been good. You know, a little speed bump over the weekend. We're over it now. We move forward. We look forward to the next game, picking up them first 3 points, and I'm feeling positive.
You've signed a lot of players, haven't you? To be finishing outside European spots again. How does that feel?
It feels, it feels good to sign players. It feels good to sign players. It feels good to keep your best players and not sell your best players.
Sounds great. Sounds like a great window. That's exactly what you want.
Yeah, it's everything you could possibly dream of in the transfer window. Bringing in quality, upgrading your positions. It's off to a good start in that aspect. We're building for the future. So listen, I'm loving this window so far.
Talk about some of those players. For those that haven't seen it, I mean, you've signed Wan-Bissaka. I'd like to call it our leftovers. I mean, we sold him for £50 million. You're getting him for about 15 to 20, I believe. So I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you lot. You know, he's a good player. A few other players as well. I mean, where do you start? Are expectations now high going into the season, regardless? I mean, we'll talk about Lopetegui as well. I know that you've changed managers, but surely you have to be aiming high after spending. How much have you spent so far?
I think we've spent something around 180, 150 or something like that.
That is crazy. With 180-ish million spent around that figure, surely expectations have to be high, and that is at least by minimum European spots. But when we were talking for in different shows, for example, 12-Man podcast, you had your prediction on. You've been talking about West Ham pushing for top 4.
130 million. Sorry,
it's still crazy amounts of money. Look, you have said that you've kept your best players. Paqueta's still there, Bowen's still there, and on top of that, you spent 130 million pounds. What is the aim? You mentioned top 4, so I need to hold you to account. Are you still?
I never said the aim was top 4. What I said is, we could be challenging for it. We could be in the conversation as we have in past seasons. We've been within competition and race for top 4. I said it's not crazy to think that we could be there again. Doesn't mean that that's the expectation. Like for us, don't forget this is season 1. This is phase 1 of the process. Yeah, this is the West Ham process. Phase 1. We get rid of the
here, but all right.
Well, if it's good enough for them, if they're allowed a process, if they're allowed multiple phases, and it's okay for them, why is it not okay for us? Why have we got to achieve season 1? Why can't we finish?
I understand where you're coming from, but we saw a mini meltdown after the first game against Villa, and I think that speaks to volumes because I don't know about you, and I'll get your opinions on this, but there is still the verdict and the jury is still out there with Lopetegui. And that is why I don't think you can treat it as like a phase 1 type of season. I think expectations are going to be there. If you keep your best players and you add to that, and as you've said, you are excited about the season, I don't think people are looking at West Ham thinking 2 to 3 years that will be fine then. Surely you should be fine now because David Moyes, a manager that you wanted out, for example, didn't have this quality in the squad, did he?
Well, I mean, we had quality. We had some quality players for sure.
Not as much as this one because you kept the same players, but you've added to that. So you've strengthened even further than David Moyes. So surely your expectations have to be we have to do something this season, whether a good cup run or finishing European spots if you've done that under Moyes.
The difference between Moyes and something what we're trying to do now is everything about Moyes is the short term. It works short term, but it hasn't got any long-term sustainability to it, right? That's the problem with that style. We're now transitioning. Remember that keyword transition. We're in a transitional season. We're transitioning from Moyes ball, playing very defensive football where we don't have much of the ball and we're hitting teams on the counter to play in a much more possession-based style of football. So there's going to be a period of transition while You know, the old players try and get used to that way of playing. The new players, a lot of them try and get used to the Prem and get used to playing with their teammates. So there's a chance that there could be that, you know, period. But considering all of that, I don't think we did too badly in our first game, despite not picking up the 3 points. I took away a lot of positives of that. Do you know what I mean?
I want to touch with a bit into Lopetegui, because he's a manager who was at Wolves, not for a long period of time. He's got, you know, a decent CV, but all jokes aside, my biggest question mark is not I'm hating on West Ham, and I've said this all along, is him. It's not the signings, it's him, as well as not the signings in itself, but sometimes I feel like the signings are getting a bit too overhyped. Maybe I'm wrong in that aspect. I'll take the L with that. Especially as you know, it's like the striker that you got, who was you know, exciting in Euros, etc. But you spent a decent amount of money for a 31-year-old, and we've seen in the past West Ham spending money for forwards, and they haven't worked out. So I guess I have to see for that to happen. But Lopetegui, he was linked with Palace, and he, I could say this, I think he rejected us. So there might be a bit of bias there. Not that I really wanted Lopetegui at a football club. But I just see him so far in his managerial career over in England. I see him as like a weak manager. I don't know. I just see him as a weak manager. That's my perception.
Why weak? Why weak? Why?
Wolves. We'll start with there. The fact that he left Wolves the manner that he did, that's weak for me. I mean, if you're a manager that have faith in your ability, such as Oliver Glasner, you take a squad that has so many injuries, that's so close to the relegation zone, that didn't have preseason. Why? Because you have faith in your ability. So after Wolves, turning down a few jobs, Palace, that's fine, and a few other jobs, that's not really a problem. That's not really weak. But you can tell that he's required to spend big amounts of money for him to be successful. I think that's what he's leaning towards. And even his body reaction after the defeat, you was at the game, so you might have not seen it, but the cameras were on him, and he looks very like frustrated. Of course, you'll be upset if you lost the game, but I don't know. I haven't got that comfortable feeling about Lopetegui. Like, I just haven't. I mean, he has to prove me wrong. But for you,
see, they're positives for me. Like him, I find that a kind of strength. Like, if I come in, well, no, but I'm saying like them characteristics that you've just said, I find that as signs of strength. I find that positive. Like, if I go into a club and they go, like, we're gonna back you, we're gonna give you players, we're gonna do X, Y, and Z, and then you do the opposite, the manager should walk away. I've said this about managers who've managed our club when the owners have shafted them and not given them what they wanted. I said, walk, show them that you're not willing to accept that. I respect that for a manager to say, this ain't what I signed up for. You're not backing me. I'm out of here. Like, I respect that. And for him to show, and I saw like a lot of the pictures and clips of him on the sideline, him being so frustrated. I want that. Moyes would come away from a loss and it'd be all positive. It would be like, oh, but we played well here and we created some chances, and it would all be sunshine. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Lopetegui's post-match interview, you know, when they said, oh, new players and this and that, he was like, that's not an excuse. I'm not having that as an excuse. That's a positive to me.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, 100%. That is a positive in that, in terms of being honest in post-match interviews rather than brushing things aside. But yeah, I just need to see it from him, because I've seen at Palace, for example, you can have all the players that you want, but the manager's so important. It is so important. A manager can get the best out of the players. And you may be seeing at West Ham as well with Moyes. I know you lot have got onto him so much in the past, and he still won you a European trophy, which I'll be honest that, you know, we joke about it, but for a club like Palace, winning the Conference League would be massive. So you can celebrate that like you won the Champions League. It's not a bad trophy at all. I know we joke about it, but yeah, it is not a bad trophy at all. But, you know, this is a manager which you lot were not happy with despite you winning trophies, which sounds crazy to me. So I think the Lopetegui pressure is going to be there. The eyes are going to be on him. We've seen it with Vieira at Palace, for example, and Hodgson. Look how quickly Glazer came in and turned things around. But just quickly on that, I don't know if you spoke. Actually, did we do opposition preview towards the end of last season when we spanked you lot 5-2?
We may have done one. It's that period of time is blocked out my memory.
If it's blocked out, then let's get your thoughts on Oliver Glasner and Palace right now. I mean, we saw Michael Olise. You've had this narrative that we're going to sell everyone. So your thoughts on Palace going into the new season?
Well, wasn't one of the ones as much saying that you're going to sell everyone. Like I did think I haven't said like it's mainly been Don and Potts and that guy and X, Y, and Z. I did know that a couple of some key players was going to leave, and it's still being linked with players going to leave. Glasner, like he did well when he come in. He had Palace hitting the ground running, playing good football, picking up results immediately. Like you had the new manager bounce. Well, you didn't. There was a few games. I don't think he got the wins right away in the first.
He started a bit slow, in fact.
Yeah, but it didn't take that long, respectively. Like it didn't take that long. Do you know what I mean? There was a little bit of a slow start. Then, like a few weeks later, boom, it starts really flying. I'm going to be interested to see now because the transfer window hasn't completely probably gone the way that he wanted. You brought in Kamada, who obviously I've seen who I was at when we played them. I actually wanted him. I wanted us to sign him back then, like a few seasons ago after we played Frankfurt. So I think that's a good signing. It'd be interesting to see if you can do it in the Premier League. Your other signings, I don't know too much about, but it's all going to be about now what Palace can do because Gahey, apparently that's going to be resolved by the end of the week one way or another. So by the time we play you, he'll either be a Newcastle player or be a Palace player. So that's important that gets resolved. But that's one that you wanted to sell because obviously his contract situation.
It's a win-win. If he stays, I mean, we still got our best defender, in my opinion, at a football club. If he was to leave, we get £65 million for a defender, which with the replacements that are lined up with potentially Chalobah or Lacroix, it's going to be Lacroix more than the other player, Chalobah that I've mentioned, is good enough. I think Lacroix was there working under Oliver Glasner when they finished, I believe, 4th in the league, in the Bundesliga. And at that time, he was linked with the likes of Arsenal. So if there's a manager to get the best out of this defender, it's him. So I'm not worried about that. And he gives us even more money to spend in other positions. But for you, what's your realistic aims of Palace then?
Palace need to finally start to compete to get into European places. Like, if you've got some very, very good players, the manager, like I said, it's harsh to come in as a Palace manager and say you must challenge for Europe, like first full season. If he doesn't do that, but you're not in relegation trouble and you're comfortable mid-table, then you say, okay, you've got a solid season to build off of. But Palace, for so long, have watched Brighton, who, I will say it, like I've traditionally is a smaller club than Palace. I think fan base wise, a lot of that traditionally.
Yeah, about Brighton, smaller than Palace, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, like
no debate about this. Yeah,
they've been a lot better in recent years. Brighton.
You say that, but we finished above them last season.
Okay, but they have played European football. They have challenged for Europe for quite a few seasons. Like Palace need to finally get there, like where West Ham, Brighton, Villa, Newcastle, like we've all been challenging and competing in Europe. Like there's a 7th spot now for Europe. There's 7th place against Europe. Palace should at least be challenging for Europe. Like with the players that you have, the manager you have, that should be the aim. Like no two ways about it. Because otherwise, what's the point? Like if you're just going to be just spinning your wheels, mid-table, comfortable, what's the point in having these top players at your club? The Eze's and Gateys.
I agree. I think we're still like 1 or 2 signings away. For me, it's a 6.5 window, which can easily go to 7.5 with left wing back depth cover. And then if you get another 10, that can go to 8.5. The reason why it will not realistically go to a 10 for me at all in this window is I don't think we'll sign a right wing back cover, which I think is a mistake from the club. But you know, if they want to go down that route, then they can. Talking about some of your players, not everyone started in your first game against Villa. And I did watch that game. You weren't bad at all. I think Villa were good. It's funny enough, Duran scored out of all of the players possible. But which players do you think we should be looking out for in this game? Can we see any debuts, Wan-Bissaka debut potentially?
We have to see Aaron Wan-Bissaka in this game. We have to. Like, no two ways about it.
FIFA's not good enough in that system.
Yeah, it's just not going to work. Like, he is decent. Like he's pretty decent going forward. Like he can put in crosses. He got assists last season, but defensively, he is a big part of why we conceded so many goals last season. And that Durand goal came from his side. I think, the lot of chances came down his side, but the actual goal came down his side. So having someone like Wan-Bissaka, I don't think Wan-Bissaka is as like bad going forward as people make out. Okay, he's not. He doesn't get assists and things like that, but he can progress the ball and then lay it off to the person that can get the crosses in and can get the assists. So yeah, he has to start for 100%. I think Todibo comes in for Mavropanos. He came off the bench. For me, I want to see Todibo and Kilman. Kilman was really good, like exceeded my expectations. I was iffy about that signing. He was one of the best players for me.
He got done by Edward though in preseason. I forgot about that. We beat you in preseason as well. I mean,
yeah,
when don't we beat West Ham?
It was on too late. It was on too late. I didn't see it. So
yeah,
we actually, to be fair, we beat you in the earlier game. There was 2 games.
No, that's a fake game. That's a PR game.
They're all PR games. These are all PR
they're not
games.
all PR games. That I watched a real football match, 90-minute football match. What you watch or what you're not talking about that you beat us in was like a 30-minute 5-a-side game.
No, it wasn't a 5-a-side. That was the one where our actual quality players like Paqueta and that played in.
No one has a record of that game, so that game doesn't count. But I'm not looking at preseason games anyways. I'm looking at this game, thinking, we have to bounce back after Brentford. It was pathetic. Not the performance, by the way. I don't think the performance was that bad, but the way that we got robbed was just unreal. Like genuinely unreal. I was so shocked. Right now, I'm recording this with half of my screen smashed. Not because I smashed my screen on purpose, but it just everything on that day went against me. My camera fell on my laptop screen, so that's half working. Then afterwards, we go and score a wonderful goal, potential goal of the season contender, ruled out due to having a referee that's doing work experience, his first game in the Premier League, in our game, of course. And then, everything, Edward offside, we will bounce back. I'm confident of that. How confident are you? Because there's a lot of pressure. You cannot lose to Palace again, one. And second of all, losing 2 games in a row, it won't be great for Lopetegui and his start.
Yeah, look, like when I look at it, yes, it's a tough start. And Palace, I hate to say it, but it's a tough place for us to go. I've been there quite a few times. I've seen us win.
What do you think about Selhurst Park?
I like the away day. I like the traditional vibes of it, but as an away experience.
You like it? So you like Selhurst Park? Interesting.
Yes, but what I don't like is where you can sit in certain places or in the ground and see half the game. Like, I don't like that. I think that's bullshit.
Wait, was he at that game where you lost 5-2 or no?
Was I at that game? Thankfully I wasn't. I don't think I was. Did I do it?
What's the last game that you've been to?
The season. I think it was the season before. No, or was it that game? It was either last season or the season before. It might have been the season before last, which I think he won. Yeah,
if I remember probably right. Lost as well. I don't remember the last time West Ham beat Palace. Do you remember?
With 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah. Well, yes, it was a time to redeem it.
So we can, this. It's not a must win, but it's important because obviously we've got Man City next, which we don't expect to get anything from that game. So
is it not must win then?
Yeah, look, if we lose this game,
you're lowering expectations a bit, but like Villa, then Palace. If you don't beat Palace, you got Man City. Then who have you got after Man City?
I think we got Chelsea coming up, which I don't really rate Chelsea. They've got some decent players, but I don't really rate them like that. Yeah,
but that's a game that you could also lose.
Fulham, Fulham. We got Fulham, then Chelsea, then Brentford. Damn, we got like 3 West London teams in a row. We don't leave London until the 2nd of November.
Yeah, I guess in London. Then it's probably not a must win because after City, you have got winnable games, even though Chelsea, I think, will be a bit more difficult than you think. But yeah, look, for me, I've got high standards, so I'm not going to hide away from them. We have to beat West Ham after that Brentford game. We have to try to bounce back. I'm not saying it is I'm not saying if we lose the game, that's the end of the world, but that's the ideal scenario. We're looking at this game as, yes, they've signed new players. Yes, they've got a new manager and they've lost their first game as well. So they want to bounce back. But
you got Chelsea away next after us.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Chelsea away. Yeah. After us. So for me, I'm looking at this game saying we have beaten them before. It won't be easy. I don't expect 5 this time around, but at home, first home game of the season, I think there's a good chance. There's a good chance that we can beat West Ham. So I'm going to go with the score prediction of just 4-0 this time around. That's my score prediction. I'm joking. I just want to see your face.
Hold that. You better hold on. We clipped that.
No, I'm joking. I said I'm joking. I'll send you to court for defamation if you clip that and not include this part. I'm warning you right now. So
Sam, do your thing.
It was a joke. It was a joke. So make sure to not clip this out, Sam, because you'll be spending life behind bars as well if you help Lawless clip this moment. But no, all jokes aside, I do think a 2-1 Palace win. 2-1 Palace win at home. It should be a tight game, but I think we can edge it. For you, Lawless, surely you're backing your boys.
Yes, the reverse. I think we'll see a lot more of the newer signings in. I think some of the players exposed themselves who played against Villa and showed that they're just not levels anymore to be starting for West Ham. So hopefully Lopetegui does the right thing and starts to bring in some of them new players and drop some of that old lot. And then we can have enough to edge it. I think we'll surprise some people. Like I said, we went toe-to-toe with Villa, who's in the top 4, with a very, I say, less than ideal squad, nowhere near our best team. So we should be better once we start getting our better players in, the Tadibos, the Wan-Bissakas, yeah. Alvarez is rumoured, I don't know if it's true, and he's a very key player. It's rumoured that he could be back for this game. And if he's back, that's huge. If not, it's tough. But yeah, man. So I'm gonna say 2-1 West Ham. Like
2-1 West Ham. I said 2-1 Palace last time, and we ended up losing 2-1. So yeah, I mean, it's possibility that West Ham do end up finally beating us.
I'd be great if you just keep predicting 2-1 and keep losing 2-1. That'd be just
there's only one prediction and we lost 2-1. It's not like I've been predicting 2-1 and we're like 30 games into the season and everyone.
Yeah, no, I'm just hoping that happens because that'll be hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it would be hilarious. And also, I hope so. Well, I don't hope so for your sake, but I hope you end up winning some games because if you lose against Palace as well and you had a little mini meltdown against Villa, that meltdown is going to be hilarious to see on social media.
If we win, though, it's not good for you because what?
Yeah, and I think that's important. I think that is a fair point. If you beat us, then it's like I know some people are going to be angry. They are going to be angry about it. They're going to be like, "What's going on? 2 games in a row that we lost." But then that's the same with you. So we both must. But there's only one must that can happen in this situation. Only one team can win unless it ends in a draw, which is a bit like still not great for both of us. But yeah, let's see what happens. But people, make sure to check out Lawless Alive, his new channel, West Ham Fan TV as well. The description will be down below. Let us know your score prediction and thoughts ahead of the game in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already done so. That's it from us, and until next time, up the Palace.